Hey, Joel Foreman here, Foreman's Financial Facts, and I want to continue on the money journey. I want you to think about your relationship with money, or think about your money as if it's a relationship. Let me give you some examples of why I want you to do that. So, for example, when you have a relationship with your significant other, and if you have children, and if you have family members, and you have friends, you're always working on that relationship. You're always trying to improve that relationship because you care about these people, you love these people, you want to do things for them. So you pay attention to the little details and the big details and all the details, and you're always listening and following and trying to improve those relationships. If you're looking to lose weight, you're going to set goals. Let's say you want to lose 15 pounds in the next 90 days. So that's 5 pounds a month. And you want to see, okay, well, how am I going to do this? I've got to change my eating habits. Maybe I have to exercise. Maybe I have to try to reduce my stress. Maybe I need to sleep a little more. I've got to definitely think about drinking more water and putting better things into my body. So your relationship with food changes. And you work on that, and you set goals, and you set milestones. The first example of your loved ones, you're always doing things, you're always tweaking, you're always paying attention, you're adhering to what you need to do to make those relationships as successful and as happy as possible. So, one of the things I'm trying to encourage you here is look at your relationship with money as one of those other relationships, the way you look at one of those other relationships. So, for example, you love losing weight, it makes you feel good. You loved your loved ones, your children, your friends, your family. Well, love money. And if you give money love, money will give you love back. What do I mean by that? Put yourself in a position to set milestones, to set goals, to pay attention, to pay yourself first, to recognize that cash is most absolutely king. And you want to continue to work on and cultivate that relationship. You want to be diligent. You want to pay attention to details. You want to pay attention to trends. You want to set goals. You want to set milestones. And you want to make sure that you hit those financial milestones. You want to be in a stronger financial position over time. And it's a lifelong relationship that you're going to have with money. You could get divorced. You could gain the weight back. You don't want to lose the money. The money, you always want to have that relationship. You always want it to be better, stronger, and more powerful. Hey, money journey continued. So think about money and think about your money as a financial compass. And when you're following a compass, you're trying to get to a certain place and it's guiding you there. So what you need is some guidance with helping you invest your money and save your money and paying attention to how it's done and spreading your risk. So I suggest you see a financial planner, a certified financial planner, to help you with that. But I want to give you another example of something to think about when I want to stress how important it is for you to have a strong relationship with money. So let's say you're going for a new job and you like your current job, you're really good at it, but there's no promotional opportunities. So you're getting ready, you're researching, you're working with a recruiter, and what are you going to do? You're going to pay attention to detail. What are you going to pay attention to detail on with the job? What title do you want? What compensation do you want? What scope of responsibilities do you want? How much vacation time do you want? What bonus target do you want? There's all of these specific details that are going to go into whether or not you're going to go ahead and accept an offer should it be offered to you. So why should you approach your money any differently? You have to think about all the components. You have to think about what's going on today. Saving money for the vacation you're going to go on 18 months from now. Saving money for the down payment on the car that you want to buy 2 years from now. Saving money for the down payment on the house maybe you want 4 or 5 years from now. Thinking about longer term retirement, thinking about big purchases, thinking about funding emergency funds, thinking about money and your relationship with money and how you can improve it and how you continue to pay attention to it. In Foreman's Financial Facts, we talk about the personal budget. We talk about basic savings methods, basic investment methods. We talk about retirement. We talk about your credit. We talk about loans. We talk about life insurance. We talk about preparing for your children's future financially. All of these things I walk you through step by step. And it outlines some of the other things that I've just mentioned in these last 2 videos. It gets you prepared. Joel Foreman, more about the money journey. So let's talk about money a little bit more in a little bit more specific detail. Why do I always stress the personal budget? The reason I stress the personal budget is because it's the best way for you to really have a clear picture of everything that you're spending, all the money that's going out versus all the money that's going in. It's also a clear way for you to make sure that you're paying yourself first with saving and investing. Why is this so important? Well, let me give you an example that you can probably all relate to. Let's say you have a group of friends and there's 10 of you, and you all have different educational backgrounds, you all have different jobs, you all have different incomes. So you have two people. Then on a regular basis, let's say you get together monthly, you have like a monthly mixer, you do potluck, whatever, you're at somebody's house, somebody else's house each month. And you have these two people that you know make more money individually than any of the rest of you do individually, by a lot. And they're always saying, or they're always complaining, oh my gosh, I never have any money, I don't know where it goes, I don't understand. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, I make a lot less than you. I have money, I have investments, I don't have bills, I don't have debt, and yes, I'd like to make more money, and I'd like to have more investments, and I'd like to have more savings, but I'm not struggling. So finally, a couple of you and your friends, you get fed up with this person complaining, and you finally say to them, what is going on? How is that possible? You make so much more money than the rest of us. How is it that you're always crying that you never have any money? Just ask them a couple of simple questions. Do you know how much money you spend every month versus how much money you have coming in? Do you have any idea what you're spending your money on and why you're spending so much in one area versus another? And there's a very good likelihood that they will honestly not know. And that's perfectly understandable. There's a lot of people that are in that particular situation. They just need to step back and think about it and realize that they have a good income. They could have savings. They could have investing. They just have to have a better handle on all the money going out versus all the money going in. A mechanism to measure it, to look at it, and modify it so they can make sure they increase their money and not have this issue. Joel Foreman, more about the money journey. So we were just talking about those two friends of yours in the last video that are always complaining that they don't have enough money, even though they make a lot more than most of the rest of you, if not all of the rest of you. So how do you insulate yourself from that, or how do you help them insulate themselves from that, or change that in the future? You sit down and you make up a personal budget. It's really very simple, and it really will make you stop and think about how you're spending your money. There's nothing worse than sitting down at the end of the month and thinking about how hard you worked, how much your boss was, on you to get things done, how many extra hours, if you're salaried, you put in with no additional pay, no overtime, no anything, and no guarantee of a bonus. And you're looking at your money, and your money in your bank accounts are going down every month, even though you're working. How is that happening? How it's probably happening is because you're spending more money than you're bringing in. And that's a very bad situation to be in. It's not sustainable. It's called negative cash flow. So how are you going to insulate yourself from this? How are you going to change this? Well, first thing, you need to know why you're in that situation. You need to put down on a piece of paper, or I like to use Excel, to put down what are your fixed expenses, what are your variable expenses. Out of those fixed expenses, are there any of them that you can get rid of? Maybe it's a monthly subscription to Netflix, or it's a wine of the month club, where it's costing me $50 a month for a wine of the month club. For $25 I can get wine, and I can save that $25 times 12, that's $300. But if you don't know where the money's going, it's hard to reduce your expenses. And I would then look at the variable expenses. How much are you spending on groceries? How much are you spending going out to eat? How much are you spending on entertainment? How much are you spending when you go to the shore with your friends for the weekend? Those things all add up. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do any or all of those things. You should absolutely do as many of those things as you can and that you want to. Just make sure that you can afford it, so that you don't risk having a problem where you have a negative cash flow, where you're struggling to pay your bills, and when you feel like you're working for everyone else except you. You want to be able to pay yourself, you want to save, you want to invest, and you still want to enjoy all these things that we just talked about, but do it in moderation. If you're tracking it, you'll know if you're over or under on a monthly basis. Hey, Joel Foreman here, more money journey talk. So one of the things that's an advantage of having a personal budget where you can see without a doubt that you have positive cash flow, that you can see you're paying yourself first, that you can see after working so hard every month that the first two things you're doing is paying money to your savings and paying money to your investments. Let me tell you, that's an empowering feeling. It's a great feeling. It's fantastic. And if you can do that consistently, you will have a whole different perspective on money. Like I said earlier in this series of, discussions, the relationship with money, it's very strong. You got to make it strong. You got to make it a bond. You got to pay attention, and you got to cultivate that relationship. So what are some of the ways that you can do that? Well, I have a rule of thumb in terms of how you look at your net income on a monthly basis. I say 55% goes to bills, 21% goes to things that you want, like entertainment, and 24% is divided between the savings and investments, paying yourself first. It used to be 50% for bills, but everything's more expensive. I'd rather hedge my bet. So you might say, well, Joel, what happens if that 55% is not enough to pay my fixed and variable expenses? Well, there's a couple things you can do. If you have the budget, you have them written down, you can take a look at that and you can see if you have opportunities to reduce your budget. Chances are you do. Chances are you can move some of the variable expenses down a little bit lower. If you're going out to eat 10 times a month, maybe you make it 8. If you're doing takeout 5 times a month, maybe you make it 3. If you're going out with friends and going, partying or, drinking or going to a concert or something, monthly, maybe you make it bi-monthly. There's a lot of different things you can do. And the other thing you can do is why I have that 21% in there and why that's a pretty good percentage. That's for once. If you have to shift any of the money to pay for bills, shift it from that 21%. Don't touch the 24% paying yourself first. You got to do that. You got to be diligent about that. You need that time. You need that money to work for you over time, and you got to feel good about that. So if the 55% isn't enough and you got to take some money to pay extra bills, go to the 21% first. Trust me, it's a little cushion. Hopefully you don't have to do it, but if you do, you're not taking away from paying yourself. Hey, Joel Foreman here. Of course, we're talking about the money journey, and you said, Joel, probably thinking, wow, you spent an awful lot of time, or a great amount of time, talking about a personal budget. And you know what? I did that because, to me, that is the foundation of everything that follows with money. In order for you to really be able to manage your money, you have to know where all of it's going, you have to know where all of it's coming in, and then you have to be able to have the discipline of making sure that you're directing the money that you're paying to yourself back out to the proper buckets, whether it's, a dividend reinvestment plan, whether it's buying some stock, a mutual fund, buying, rare coins. And if you're saving, if you're saving for a house, you're saving for a car, and you want to have milestones. That's why I say, lay out your plan and then get with a certified financial planner. You're going to have things that might be 2 years out. You're going to have things that might be 5 years out. Then you're going to have retirement that could be 30 or 40 years out. You have to be able to plan for these things. And you want to hedge your bet when you can. One of the things you want to think about is if you do have an opportunity, if you're fortunate enough to be in a job where you get a bonus every year, a Christmas bonus or a performance bonus, whatever you want to call it. If you're in a position where you have credit cards with a lot of reward points and you can get some of that in cash, and if you're in a position where you get a tax refund, at the end of the year, make sure that you take that money and use it as extra money in the proper way to position yourself for financial strength, because you're not always going to get the returns that you want. You're not always going to be able to save or feel like you're saving as much as you want. So in those particular cases, I use the 40-40-20 rule. 40% savings, 40% investing, 20% have some fun. Come on, we're only on this earth once. It's quote unquote extra money. So while you're bolstering your savings and your investment buckets to make them stronger for the future, you want to live a little bit now and you want to enjoy it. So do yourself a favor and spend some of that money too. And if you're doing all the other things and you're managing your budget and you're staying on budget and you're not going over and you're paying yourself first and you're doing all these things to position yourself for strength over time, financial strength, then you deserve to have some fun. You deserve to let loose. So buy yourself something, buy someone else something, treat someone to something, treat yourself to something. Enjoy that 20%.